Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Frank Kellaher of president at Daytona, getting ready for the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and kicking off a pretty big few months for Daytona International Speedway. Frank, how are you?
Casey, I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, first off, welcome. This is actually your first time on here, so it's a pleasure and an honor to meet you. And congrats on all the work that you've been able to do with Daytona. So let's talk about getting ready for this race. I know a lot of people, when they think of Daytona, they think of two things. Well, the Daytona 500, and then of course you got the summer race, you got all this stuff. But this race coming up here, this has been going on longer than the Daytona. Well, a few years before that. The Rolex 24 at Daytona, the 61st year, started right around when the Daytona 500 happened. But how exciting is this race, and to have the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and to have all the levels of IMSA coming here throughout the next few weeks for the Roar and then the Rolex?
Yeah, Casey, the World Center of Racing for sure is a busy place. Whether you are a race fan or a race driver, if you are on two wheels or four wheels, you want to race at Daytona International Speedway, or at a minimum, you want to be in the stands and taking in all the action. This place is very busy. It never sleeps. Our race season, it truly never ends. You know, right between Christmas and New Year's, we had the World Karting Association here hosting one of the largest go-kart events in North America. The dirt oval was slammed. We have a sprint course inside the infield of turn 3. And then we have the enduro class, which actually warms up the road course for the Rolex 24, as we have hundreds of karters and lay down enduro go-karts running the Rolex road course. So was out here for that, enjoyed a great New Year's. And yes, we will welcome in the IMSA series. Starting on Wednesday is when the majority of the haulers will roll in, as this weekend we have the Roar before the Rolex, where our infield will be slammed with campers. The Boy Scouts of America, they'll have over 3,000 scouts here camping, as the cars will be on the track, shaking everything down. You know, with this new class, the teams definitely want some extra hours on their car to make sure that they're prepared for the 61st running of the Rolex 24, which all kicks off January 26th through the 29th. So the team's excited. The property looks phenomenal. And we're excited to get that Ferris wheel lit up in the infield and have a very exciting 2023 racing season. Yeah,
it should be fun. So, of course, there's a few other races that are also going to be here. You got the Michelin Pilot Challenge. You have the VP Sports Car Challenge, which used to be Prototype Challenge. And then, of course, everyone's favorite series, the Mazda MX-5 Cup, which always produces, anytime they come here to Daytona, it's always going to be a fun show as well. But talk about this race that lasts 24 hours. It lasts an entire day at this place. Well, have you ever been out there at 2? What are people doing in the infield at 2 in the morning or something? Can they I've always wanted to ask this, can someone go leave and get a coffee and come back, or how does that work?
So I have been fortunate to work for the France family under what was ISC and now NASCAR. This will be my 20th year as a full-time employee. I actually was an intern prior to that, so 21 years. So to answer your question, I could speak from experience. Many years ago, when I was in a sales role and I did not have any responsibility during the Rolex 24, me and a group of friends, group of former colleagues, we actually rented a Mini Winnie, a Cruise America, and had it in the infield for the Rolex 24. And we had a bunch of coolers and a bunch of grills, and we were race fans. And we threw a party and we grilled out and had a blast. So the answer to your question is yes. The place is still alive and well at 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. To answer your question, yes, you have the ability to leave the property and come back in on site. So think festival, whether that's Goodwin Festival of Speed or a music festival. You have individuals from all over the globe that are here. Kind of changing gears, you know, Daytona 500, we have representation from all 50 states and 5 continents. It's a very same representation from the Rolex 24, especially with this sports car European field. So it is a very warm and friendly infield. The party starts and it doesn't end until long beyond the checkered flag waves. So from an operational standpoint, you know, it takes months to get ready, but we have the ingress and the egress. It spins like a Rolex watch, and we make sure that our fans have plenty to do for 24 hours. A lot of corporate America is here, a lot of manufacturers from Hyundai to Porsche to Mazda, as you mentioned, and they're looking to engage and entertain our fans. I mentioned the Ferris wheel, the infield. It definitely has a festival, carnival vibe to it all of games and activities, multiple points of concessions, mobile bars, pretty much whatever you're looking for. If you're into motorsports and a festival lifestyle, you're going to find it at the World Center of Racing, January 26th through the checkered flag on January 29th.
Yeah. So this is of course, as we talked about, of course, IMSA, which is also owned by NASCAR, is issuing. It's a kind of a new era for IMSA as well. Of course, in the last few years, IMSA has gone through a lot of changes. Of course, 2 years ago, the introduction of the LMP3 class. Last year, of course, was the introduction of the new GTD Pro, which kind of was the GT Le Mans class. And this year, we said farewell to the DPI, and now we're issuing this new GTP class, which is going to be the top class. And I'm pretty sure you've seen all the liveries on the cars and stuff. There's just so much excitement around sports car racing right now. 5 classes of cars, 61 cars in total will be at Daytona for the Rolex 24. What's that going to be like to help issue this new era of sports car racing here at Daytona?
If you're a sports car buff, you're familiar with what's, you know, defined as the golden era, you know, 1981 through 1993. That's when the GTP name, you know, dates back to, and that class was known as really the tip of the sword of advancement. That's where these manufacturers, these OEMs were really pushing the envelope, and ABS was created, and some of the technologies that are now kind of standard practice. It goes back to that era of really pushing the envelope of how far can they take motorsport and how far can they take these race cars. So now to reintroduce you know, that class and that design, and the reality of the car that can win the GTP class here in Daytona with the Rolex 24 is the same car that they're going to ship to Le Mans. And you now have this opportunity to truly be this 24-hour endurance global champion. Really makes us excitement. And when I look at the list of brass, of decision makers that are flying in globally, you know, it's the top ranking officers of these OEMs coming to Volusia County, coming to Daytona Beach to see what their car can do. I think really speaks to the health. I think it speaks to the power of what IMSA is, what it represents, and what is going to be challenged and tested on the racetrack. And the race fans get that. Our infield never went on sale because it renewed at 100%. So our infield has been sold out for months. Now, being a festival, there still are opportunities for fans to come out and experience the race. So infield being sold out, meaning you're not going to be able to buy an RV spot or a camping spot. If you want to buy an admission as a consumer and be able to walk in the infield, we have that opportunity. If you want to be able to sit in the grandstands and watch, we have that opportunity via 1-800-PIT-SHOP. Give us a ring or check us out at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. But the overall consumption of this sport is just on a level that in my 20 years, I don't remember it being at this level, which really speaks volumes to the leadership of IMSA.
Yeah, of course. You kind of mentioned it already. There's going to be lots of things that the fans can do. What specifically can the fans do? Because there's going to be a lot of stuff planned.
Oh my goodness. So we have an autograph session with over 200 drivers that show up. And typically that is on Friday, or I'm sorry, it's typically on Saturday. This year, the driver autograph session will be on Friday. We have a 2-day package and a 4-day package. So this is more incentive for fans to buy the 4-day package so they can come out on Friday, have an opportunity to meet the stars, potentially meet their favorite driver, get an autograph. We have live entertainment in our infield. We have an area that's called the UNOH Fan Zone. We have entertainment that'll be on stage in the fan zone for 24 hours. We have the Ferris wheel. We have a carnival that takes place on the boardwalk. We have what is called the Taste of the 24. So local restaurants, they will take over inside the venue an area of all of our suites, and you have an opportunity to come in and taste the local flair here in Daytona Beach. Again, garage access. We have a phenomenal fireworks display that takes place on Saturday night during the race. We actually have to remind the drivers that, you know, at a specific time on Saturday night, there's going to be a huge firework display on the backstretch because we don't want them to get spooked. And as I talked about as well, we have some of our top manufacturers and marketing partners from around the globe that'll have display space set up, looking to engage with our race fans throughout the Rolex 24.
Yeah. So there's, you know, you mentioned there's a lot of things going on. You know, in the next few months, of course, you know, in just that next week, of course, NASCAR is out of the West Coast for the LA Clash. And then, of course, you got the Super Bowl. And then you guys are right back at it trying to plan, you know, for the Daytona 500. And obviously, we'll get into that when we'll talk again right before Daytona 500 week. But overall, just this is probably one of the best times of the year for you guys.
This is what we train for. This is what we live for. I grew up a racer. I grew up in a racing family and around dirt car racing in Northeast Pennsylvania. Being at the track is part of who I am, and fortunate to have this opportunity to where throwing North America's largest motorsports events is what we do professionally. And I'm surrounded by people that love it. Wouldn't want their life or their calendar to be any different. And January, February, March, kicking off with the roar of the Rolex through the Rolex 24, now with the 65th running of the Daytona 500 on February 19th, and 2023 being the kickoff of the 75th anniversary of NASCAR, right? NASCAR was founded 75 years ago right here in Daytona Beach at the Streamline Hotel on A1A. That property still exists. We actually threw a celebration a few weeks ago, kicking off the 75th anniversary of NASCAR, then into Supercross. We will have the Monster Energy Supercross Series here the first weekend of March, March 3rd, followed by the following Saturday, March 4th, followed by the following Saturday, March 11th, with the famed Daytona 200. So January, February, March, there will be a lot of caffeine consumed by myself and the team, and we'll get some rest at some point in April. But again, this is what we live for, and it's an honor to welcome in the greatest sports fans in all of sports in the world to come through our gates here at the World Center of Racing. Yeah,
and we'll obviously get into more of the 75th anniversary celebration of NASCAR when we have you on again in a month. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Yeah, he's coming back on. All right, Frank, thank you so much. Frank Kellaher, the track president at Daytona International Speedway. We'll let you get back to work. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join us, and have fun at the Rolex, the Roar, and the Rolex 24. And we'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate you having me on, and thankful to all your listeners, and hope to see you at the track soon.